pleasure to introduce today's event and to talk a little bit about GYOPO, who we are and what we do. First, I really just want to express how grateful we are to be gathered here today. Thank you so much to Youngmi Mayer for making a pit stop here at GYOPO as a part of a huge nationwide book tour. Thank you also to the legend and our eternal crush, SuChin Pak, for moderating the conversation. And thank you to all of GYOPO's funders, supporters, and community of volunteers. Big thank you to you all. None of this would be possible without you. So GYOPO is a volunteer-powered organization. If you are interested in getting involved with us, please don't be shy. Approach any of us. We have a lot of volunteers. If y'all can wave and say hello. Come chat with us. We'd love to get to know you, to talk more about the work that we do together. Our mission here at GYOPO is to build a robust intergenerational and intersectional community through collectively organizing free educational programs on arts and culture. We organize these programs to interrogate the conditions we are in, to hone our critical faculties, connect cultural producers across working fields, shine light on repressed histories, and center peoples marginalized in our very own diaspora. All in the service of better understanding ourselves so that we can together build a world we actually want to be in. And this is why GYOPO is just so thrilled to host this reading and conversation with Youngmi Mayer today. We'll get a look into this extremely personal, shame-shatteringly honest memoir titled I'm Laughing Because I'm Crying, which will be on sale after the program right over here and with our Skylight Books team, and Youngmi will also be signing copies. So after the program, sit tight. We're going to shuffle the space a little bit and we'll get a chance to buy books and get them signed. The memoir offers an incredibly bold paradigm-shifting critique of Korean and GYOPO cultures. This book is so brutal, so self-aware in the way it deals with trauma, white supremacy, classism, sexism, with such a vigor and, dare we say, glee. In a way, this book is a public service in and of itself. So please do stay connected with us to learn more about our programs, such as this one. And our final one of the year will be on December 14th. It's going to grapple with K-beauty, aging, and disability. We'll also be sharing some exciting updates about our upcoming Lunar New Year, Year of the Snake collaboration with Audrey Nuna, rapper extraordinaire, and local fashion designer Tanvi. You can sign up for our mailing list through our website, which is gyopo.us, to get all the updates. GYOPO's work is made possible with support from all of you. We are a nonprofit organization operating on a shoestring budget, so please donate if you have the means to do so. There are cards with QR codes throughout the space. If you'd like to make a contribution, you can also check out our very cool merch table on that side. No gift is too small or too large. Every dollar goes towards running this beautiful space that we're so lucky to have and towards organizing more of these free public programs. So thank you to all of you here who also donated with your RSVP. We are truly very grateful. Now for the fun part, I am so thrilled to introduce our special guest moderator, SuChin Pak, who we have been dreaming about engaging with for years here at GYOPO, and our dreams come true today. So SuChin Pak, Before we invite SuChin up to the stage, SuChin Pak is a renowned journalist who has been hosting and reporting the news on major networks for almost 30 years. She hosted and co-produced the MTV documentary series My Life Translated, featured on the Oprah Winfrey Show, telling the stories of multicultural teens growing up in America. Currently, she hosts a hilarious and brilliant podcast, Add to Cart, about consumerism and its impact on our culture, as well as Uncared For, a podcast about health equity. Please join us in welcoming SuChin Pak.
Hi. And then I get to introduce our star of the hour. Youngmi Mayer is a stand-up comedian. She hosts podcasts Feeling Asian and Hairy Butthole. I like saying that. Her work has been featured in Netflix Is a Joke, Comedy Central, BBC. She's written for Lucky Peach, Cherry Bomb, InStyle, and Women's Health magazine. She is one of those rare comedians today that has obtained success both on online platforms and in the mainstream and on the stage. And then, of course, she comes out with this. It's unfair that, you know what I mean? Like, when I picked up this book, I thought, I know she's funny, I know she's gorgeous, but, like, this is actually words, like real writing. It blows my mind that you can be so good at so many things creatively. I'm going to be often referring to this as the great book because for me this year, it won't get better than this. So I'm so excited. And if you have a chance, I got to sit with her and do an interview and add to cart on my podcast, and we get into it there. So that's also a great conversation. So everyone welcome Youngmi, and she's going to read from the book. So does she know? I don't know if she can hear me. Thank you. Yeah! Keep it going for SuChin!
And keep it going for GYOPO. I'm like waving at my friends in the audience, but everyone looks very familiar. I'm like, oh, Koreans. Okay, never mind. Okay, so I'm wearing this because when I walked in, I started crying so hard.
Yeah, you can put it down. It works better than the napkin that we were using in the office.
So if you see me doing this just means I'm crying and I'm ashamed. And then this is...
You getting grounded.
I'm going through it, bitch. That's what that means. No, but really, I was like so emotional when I came in here. I'm gonna take this off. This is pushing it too far. I got so emotional because I was coming into the building, and you know, I'm not from LA, but where I grew up in Saipan, like there were so many places that looked like this, like these Korean beat down looking strip malls. You know, I don't know why they always look beat down. The stairs are raggedy. I don't know what's going on. No one's ever gonna fix the stairs. Like, the raggedy stairs, and then for some reason your dentist is in there. And the church is also in the church is in the strip mall. And like some sort of horrible hagwon piano. I don't know. There's this, you can hear the piano. And like everything happens in this like strip mall, and it just reminded me so much of like growing up and like with the Korean community, you know? Why do we always make the strip mall so raggedy? I don't know. But it's so great to be here, and I'm really glad that it's in a raggedy strip mall. I did not know that. I didn't know GYOPO was gonna look like this. Thank God. Thank you for doing that. Okay, I'm gonna read, oh God, I don't want my phone to go off. I'm so popular. Watch it like doesn't go off even once, like during the whole time. Somebody text me if you have my number. Okay. So I'm gonna read a portion of my book. Oh, can I have some water? Sorry. I'm really struggling to like not cry. Not that crying is bad.
We'll struggle together in a bit.
Okay. We're just waiting for the water, I guess. Just take your time. I'm just kidding. Everyone, clap it up for GYOPO. I'm just kidding. Go, Ellie! Okay. All right. Oh God, is my posture really bad? I feel like there's a lot of Koreans in here. They're like, oh God, look at her posture. I don't care. I'm just gonna I'm gonna lean in, literally. Okay, this part is called 또라이 아저씨, a psycho man. After my dad's autograph incident, my white dad came to my Korean school and everyone asked for his autograph. That's what that's referring to. After my dad's autograph incident, I would walk home from school by myself. This was actually the standard for all children my age in Jeju. I had just been afraid to before then. But after that embarrassing ass shit with my dad, I was more than happy to walk alone. Every day, I would leave the school building wearing white stockings under my dumbass velvet lad outfit with gold buttons and lace, clutching the straps of my large, hard, rectangular backpack, a leftover from Imperial Japan. How am I supposed to be holding this book? This is so odd. Is this right? Everything feels wrong. Is it this? Is it this? This is really wrong. Okay. One day, I noticed a man sitting between two parked cars across the street from the school gate, staring at me. He was dark, thin, and sinewy. Koreans lived hard back then, so I'm guessing he was like 28. Even though he looked like he was 50. It's the only Korean with that problem. Looks too old. I saw his eyes and I did what I always did. I watched him peripherally, pretending not to see. We're gonna figure this out. I felt the need to keep watching, to make sure he didn't move toward me. As I passed him, I heard him slur between drags of a cigarette. Yeah, 이리 와. I didn't know what being drunk was back then, but I distinctly remember he slurred his words, and how he said the sentence is burned into my brain. Without thinking, I said, 네, and walked toward him. To be Korean was to listen to adults and do what they told you to do. I walked over to him, and he grabbed, not yet. I walked over to him, and he grabbed my arm and pulled me close to his body. I remember the backpack hitting my back from the jerk. I remember the soju on his breath. 네 어디서 왔니? I'm getting nervous with the Korean. 네 어디서 왔니? 네? 어디서 왔어? That means, where are you from? I didn't understand the question because I didn't understand that I was supposed to be from somewhere else. I gave him my home address in full. I asked him if he wanted me to show him where it was. I wanted him to let go of my arm because it hurt, but more than that, I wanted to make sure I was answering him correctly. I wanted to make sure my behavior was correct, that I was just like the other normal Korean children. I didn't understand what he was asking me because it had not yet dawned on me that my dad was from somewhere else. I thought 미국 사람 was the name of some sort of deformity my dad and I had. Some weird thing that made people stare at us. But where was I from? I was from Korea, just up the street and around the corner. It's really quiet in here. This is awkward. I'm not used to this. Okay. The drunk man was confused that I was confused. After that, he said, 오, 알았어. 아저씨가 집에 데려줄게. Okay, I'll take you home right now. He pulled my arm and started leading me, and I was happy that he was going to take me home. I was happy that I answered correctly. At that moment, two middle school girls walked up. I remember thinking that they were so tall and big, and I knew they were in middle school because they were wearing uniforms and had mandatory blunt bobs. They said loudly, 또라이 아저씨다! It's the psycho man. The word 또라이, psycho, was a word we used as a joke to one another, and until that day I had not heard it used seriously. The alarm tone of how they screamed it brought me to reality, and it was only then that I realized that this was sus. The man held my arm tighter. In that moment, I did not feel fear, but overwhelming humiliation to be near an outcast of society. These cool girls thought this man was a 또라이, and they saw me with him. I wanted so badly for them to know I didn't know him and we weren't together. I started pulling my arm away, but this fucker had Soju power grip going for him. For some reason, Soju goes straight to the fingers of Korean men, as any one of us who got pinched too hard by our drunk uncles knows. I thought that would get a bigger laugh, I don't know. Only me, I guess. As I squirmed and wriggled, trying to break free, my humiliation grew. I knew I looked like a fucking loser trying to wriggle away from this crispy-ass looking creep. The girls kept screaming, "또라이 아저씨! 또라이 아저씨!" And that's when I noticed that behind him was a busy street full of adults. All these adults had been there the entire time. But they had not seen me until they heard the screams of the girls. They all stopped one by one and stared at 또라이 아저씨. They started murmuring and pointing. Realizing he had been perceived by adults, he finally released his grip on me while murmuring, "아니야, 아니야, 그냥 가. It's nothing, just go." 눈치. To know how to act without being told. I didn't run when he let go. I just walked off like nothing had happened, because to run would be admitting I was harmed, that I was weak. I walked slowly away to show that I wasn't scared and I was cool. I was a normal Korean. Everything I did so the middle school girls could see. I remember walking closely behind them, finding comfort in the fact that they didn't seem to think this was a big deal either. One of them said, "Did you hear that psycho telling that kid to come here? Complete psycho." They kept talking, recounting the entire incident. They went over step by step what they saw that man do, and then they went over the other times they had seen him doing other things to other children. They did this to assure me that they had been watching the entire time, and they had always been there to protect me. Where's the visor? Oh my God, I forgot. Sorry. Okay, if I vape, the vape is too much, right? I agree. This actually makes me feel so much better. I can go on now. This really works. Walk me out. Okay. They did this. Wait. They did this because they knew I was walking behind them and that I was listening, and although I didn't know it then, that I was scared. They did it peripherally, without looking or talking directly at me, because they already knew that all the other Koreans stared at me, and they knew that I hated being stared at, hence the visor. They had the decency not to look or talk directly at me because they could see that I was a 혼혈 and they knew I hated it. Why did I pick this part to read? This is so sad. I should have picked a funny one. Damn it. Okay. They knew I lived in fear of being the 왕따 because they lived this life too, of constant hiding and worrying if they were doing things wrong, of surviving by not being noticed. In an instant, they knew all this without having to be told because they had something that my father and other white people did not have. 눈치. These girls represent everything I love about Koreans. The quiet and steady love and support given peripherally. Doing good deeds at exactly the right time, without having to be told and without calling attention to it. I went home and didn't tell my parents what happened because I knew I would get my ass beat. Or have to stand in the goddamn corner again for an eternity. 10 minutes. I knew by now that being a victim was something I would be punished for. On later occasions, I remember seeing 또라이 아저씨 from time to time, and without hesitation, I would scream, 또라이다! And all the children around me would start screaming along as we scurried away. He would drunkenly swat at us with a burning cigarette in his mouth. But I was never afraid of him again because I knew there were always other children there to protect me. I remember this incident as comical, the fact that whatever this man had planned to do was foiled by two young girls. I remember it like how my mother remembers the stories of her coming terrifyingly close to death as a child. Many bad things happen in Korea, and many bad people live there. There are bad things that happen to me that I will not speak of. But there is a comical element to the ease with which horror is kept at bay. All you have to do is keep staring. Like Hoho Ajuma and the fucking ghost in Super Mario Brothers. If you stop looking, they'll kill you. But it's so easy to stop them. Just don't look away. Oh, thank God for this visor. Oh my God. It's my emotional support visor. This is coming on tour with me, folks. Chung, familiar energy. Looking back at my early years in Korea, I remember the children as my protectors and the adults as my abusers. The adults were either not there for me or beating me, making me stand in a corner, staring at me, or attempting to kidnap me. I remember it all with Chung. Chung is a word that doesn't exist in English, so it is appropriate that I left it in Korea. If I were to try to translate it, I would say it is as if familiarity were an emotion. However, the definition is way more complicated since it's thought of as an energy force with free will that occurs outside of our control. In Korea, a compliment is to tell someone they have lots of Chung, meaning they have the essence of someone who is known to you, someone who feels immediately comfortable because they feel familiar. Koreans say that the reason divorce is difficult isn't because of love, but because of Chung, the bond that is stronger than love, the bond of being used to something. It isn't a positive word like love. It encompasses all the emotions of the familiar, like the bond between siblings. Oh, somebody texted me. Did you hear that? Good, okay.
We heard it.
Koreans also use this word for homesickness. You will often hear Koreans traveling abroad blame their indigestion or general discomfort on Chung. I have Chung for my homeland. It makes me sick to be away from it, but it makes me equally sick to be there. Because for every positive emotion tied to Chung, there is an equal negative one. All right. In 2008, the most well-known rape case in modern Korean history happened. The circumstances of this case were somewhat similar to my incident with Torai Ajashi. A drunk man abducted an 8-year-old girl in broad daylight, took her to a Christian church bathroom, assaulted her, and attempted to murder her. She survived but was disabled for life because of the extent of her injuries. She's no longer able to have children and uses a colostomy bag. I cried for days when I first heard this story. All Koreans did. We were all collectively devastated. I feel like we all felt responsible. I feel like we all felt like we were all supposed to have been there to stop this man. I kept thinking, why wasn't anyone there? Then I remembered the busy street full of adults who had not seen Torai Ajashi when he was attempting to do whatever he wanted to do with me. I had the horrifying thought that maybe there had been a street full of adults that had seen this drunk man take this girl too. But where were the 2 middle school girls? Where were the children that protected me? Then I realized that all the children from my past were now adults. Sorry, that's it. Sorry about that.
You need to go fix your makeup.
Oh, I have to fix my makeup. Okay, I'm going to take a Korean break to fix my makeup. That's what that's called in Korea.
We're not going to get through this. So just in case there was any expectation that we were going to get through this, it's not going to happen. We're going to do the best we can, but that's what this book is. Can you imagine that's just 2 chapters? But I think, and now I'm just killing time, but I think that, I told Youngmi this, one of the reasons, oh boy, now it's contagious once you start. I get. I think that, there are times, at least in my memory, and I've been doing this for a really long time, and I've been watching Asian American identity and culture and the way that we move in this world and the way that we move in public spaces and the way we move in the media landscape for so long. And I can just count on my hands how many times I sat and I thought, okay, we are now moving forward on the board. And that timing is so important, because I think it's so important for us to also just be, just learn something new and then process it for as long as you possibly can, we were just joking, we've held on to Joy Luck Club for so long, and that was important, and that is important still. You know what I mean? All of that is still important, but every once in a while we have to nominate someone in our community to push the conversation forward. And at least for me personally, I think if this book had come out pre-pandemic, I think I kind of would understand it, but I think a lot of it would maybe be confusing to me. I'm not quite sure. So for me, at least, the timing of this, my great desire for this book is that it just is so big, because this conversation that she has in this book about who we are and where we are, about our gender, about our race, about our culture, this one is moving it forward, And so I want to put it out there, because I know that most of you haven't had a chance to read this. And so I just really encourage, because I assume it will sell out here. Buy the copy for other people. For me, Youngmi, when I see a book like this, if you guys have friends that are teachers, hot tip, they don't have budgets to buy books like this. When I find something like this, that's also so just thinking about that, we're here in community and we're so dropped into this conversation that we can start anywhere and cry our eyes out, and it's totally fine and wonderful. Good. I'm back. But I just really encourage you guys after this to understand that this book is one of those things that it is our duty as the center of whatever community that we're at to continue to push that conversation forward, because this is one of those. This isn't one of those you sit back and you kind of that was, yeah, right, ha ha ha. We need that. This is more holy shit. The record is stopping. We need to change the music. So anyway, that's
back.
my opinion. But yes, good.
Why
We're
is this
back.
mic so much louder?
No, all good. So should we do it?
Yeah, I'm ready. Sorry. Now I feel fine.
Okay.
I knew I was gonna cry and I let it out, so
Yep.
now I don't feel scared.
That makes one of us, because I'm terrified.
Hi, everyone.
So I think my first question was going to be, I'm going to ask my first question. How are you feeling? It's this week. It's out. This thing now has left the train station. You have no control over what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
It's out now.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I feel you're a processing person.
Yeah.
And you need that time, but it's too late. It's gone. It's out now. So how does that feel?
Am I gonna go to jail? I don't know. Is it bad? All the interviews are yeah, this is ooh, your parents are gonna be really mad. I'm oh God. My answer to that is that I don't know how I feel, because I think I'm like one of the people that like when I'm going through something, I like bury it, and then 6 months later, I'll just like start crying on the subway, I think. So I will know in 6 months, I'll get back to you.
We'll just see your Instagram full of like visor shots. And we're
Yeah,
like,
the visor.
She got it. She understands now.
This
It's
works
here.
so well, by the way. Do you want to try it? You can try it.
I'm going to borrow it, but I'm going to not borrow it now because, look, I'm not crying now.
Wow,
We're just
look.
going to be a very small portion of what's happening here. Okay, so I think you, when you were reading this and you were talking about, oh, God, this book, there's just so much. Okay, focus. The duality. I want to talk about because I think when you read that excerpt about like this whole thing about like the children and the parents and then this like trauma, but there's like this public safety. It's like so everything in this, every sentence contradicts the sentence before. And that's also, I know, very much a part of your personality. You're always sort of like, in good and bad ways, critical of the thought that you had before, and then, and it's like this loop. And even the title, I'm laughing because I'm crying, is also this duality, this opposition, this contradiction, this dichotomy, all of those things. So I want to start with the title, and I want you to kind of, as best you can, talk about your observation and why that was so important to have that on the cover.
Well, I think like, no, I like the lights off. I love that. Oh, I love that. I'm serious. Can we turn the lights off?
Yeah.
And the visor. Everyone wear a visor. Close your eyes, everyone. I think that the theme that I wanted, when I set out to write this book, I had this idea, and I was like, I know like this whole concept, which is like the Tokyo concept, which I say in the book, of these like two binaries that are the same thing, and they do contradict each other, but at the end they're the same thing. And like that's such a long running philosophy that was like taught to me, I think, by the Korean part of my family, and it's such a big part of Korean culture. And I feel like a lot of people don't really touch on that.
No.
But
that thought never even entered my mind until we talked about.
But like think of the two types of Koreans.
Yeah.
Church Korean and jail Korean. that's it. That's the two types.
We're in
jail.
A strip mall. Like,
Yeah,
no,
right?
This is why. This is it. This is this beautiful, gorgeous space. Yeah, can also exist.
Yeah, in the strip mall. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about like those themes that my mom taught me throughout childhood.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about being biracial, and I think this will speak to a lot of people that are like Asian American, or like your parents are immigrants, or you have like these two like things that you're supposed to be at the same time. And I think if you are thinking about your like contrasting identities growing up, the thing that you're pointing out, like each thought immediately contradicts the next. I think that's a big way that all of our minds work, because we're like, oh, like in America they have freedom, but then you're like, well, in Korea they actually have more freedom in this way.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Like, what's better? Is this better? Is that better? Or am I Korean or am I American because I do this or I do that? And then at the end, like I feel like you spend like a lifetime of like thinking like, where do I belong? Who am I? What's better? And then at the end you get to this place where you're just like, oh, everything is just the same, or everything, you get to that conclusion. And so I was thinking of writing the book in that way, just being like, oh, I split all the chapters into binaries that seem very distinct, but at the end I try to like tie it back to be like, the children are the adults and the adults are the children, like.
I was going to say, like, nobody writes an end to a chapter, girl like you. I mean, it's like, she'll take you on a journey.
Write that in my bio. Nobody
She
writes
will
the end of a
take
chapter
you
like
on
me.
a
SuChin
journey.
Pak.
And then you're like, where am I going? What's happening?
Is that how you read the book? You at home? That was you at home? I believe
In my
that.
mind. in my mind, outwardly I was just reading, but in my mind I was like, where, Youngmi? Where are we? And then in the end, she's like, she's like, 'cause kids, they're adults. You're like, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Terrible. I want
Kids
them to
are
be
adults.
kids.
Yeah.
So, but that's interesting. And then we just briefly touch on, if you remember when we had our conversation on my podcast, you were talking
Add to
about
cart.
how you were talking about how like you can't cry without like remember it was like how we even perceive humor or laughing is because I thought that was so like I never thought of it that way. Can you remember that when you said that?
Well, there was like this theory in comedy. I have to say, I think the writing the end of the chapter thing comes from my history of comedy writing being the only kind of writing I ever did. So you always like are kind of like, that's how your mind's like, oh, at the end I gotta have a punchline, I gotta say something, like, you know, before I leave the stage.
Drop the mic. Yeah.
So I think that's why I keep writing
but it
like
works.
that without knowing.
Yeah, it totally, especially if you're constant, if you're if you're flipping, right? Because that's the right. You just said that, right? You're doing that on purpose. You're like taking us here, and then you're like, but am I? But look at, but wait, what about this? And so the ending is what kind of like you're like, whoa. So anyway, sorry. You go. What was I
there's
saying
a
about
theory
the comedy?
in comedy writing that because people are like, why are we the only species that laughs? And they say like there's like a really famous analogy where it's like the caveman is hunting, and then he sees the grass shaking and he thinks it's a lion about to attack, so he's like very high alert, and then the grass blows and it's two monkeys fucking. And then he made like a sound like, ah, like that. And that was apparently the first ever human laugh. So it's this like, it comes from this being afraid and maybe a little horny. And then like, and then, oh, I don't have to be afraid. Oh, like relief.
Really horny? Yeah, that was your.
I get horny when I'm afraid.
Yeah.
But maybe it should come at the, I don't know.
Yeah.
Only me? Okay. No one's kinky in here? But
Korean, raw kinky.
that's
But
the theory on the origin of laughter.
Yes.
So it's tied to fear and sadness.
Yeah.
Even,
I love that.
yeah.
I love that, which is why it's so cathartic
Yeah.
to laugh and cry. Like, I don't know what's more cathartic, you know? They're both.
Yeah, there would be no reason to laugh if we didn't cry. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that's like the title. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I think for those that may not know, because it was news to me, I mean, we sort of know each other, you know, in one space, but reading this book, I think it's important to contextualize what we're going to continue to talk about and to get to know her as an artist, as a writer and all of that, to give a background on how you got here. Because I think that journey is important to know as you're
Like in my career?
No, I'm talking about how you got to America. Like
I was on an airplane.
No, because it's you hear, you know, it's there's a more typical way that people come here, and then there's, you know, different stories. So I think that that's really interesting to me, and maybe it's not interesting to you because obviously you lived it, but as like a typical Korean American that grew up in the Bay Area, I was like, wow, I never read of an Asian person that did it this way, you know?
Yeah, so I guess the weird thing about my story, and I didn't really write this part in the book, is that I grew up outside of America until I was 20, and then I moved here by myself because I was living with my ex-boyfriend who was like horrible in Korea. But I don't know why he laughs, sir. He's like, we know about Korean men. Oh yeah, Amanda. He laughed when I said, okay, oh really, that your Korean ex-boyfriend was horrible? Shocker. No, so I came here when I was 20, and the part that I didn't write in the book was that my dad is white, he's from Jersey City, and that was the appropriate reaction thing. And he hated America, and he refused to raise us there. And he's actually pretty cool. I know I talk shit about him, but he's like smart and interesting, you know? And so he refused to raise us in America, and he was like really anti us ever going. So I only visited twice in my entire life for like 10 days tops,
Yeah.
right? And
So it raised you guys in Korea.
in
Moved
Korea,
to
and then
Korea.
on Saipan, this
Yeah.
island in Micronesia. So basically, I was like told that America is really bad and I should never live there. So I like was like kind of banned from living here, and I had to like come here on my own. And so I like came here to escape my ex-boyfriend who was terrible. No surprise. But also I had to like fight against my dad being like, don't go to America, which is, it's so interesting.
right.
He was right. I mean, he's right. He was right. But like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so I had to fight against my parents like on that and my, boyfriend. So
Yeah, that's all of that. I don't know. That is so interesting because I think that knowing that background, that you grew up in Korea with an American dad who did not want to raise you here.
yeah.
And you grew up in, and we'll get into sort of like what that childhood was like, being not Korean and not American and all of that. Gives you an understanding, or at least like a perspective that is unusual or different than the way that we talk about Asian American identity in this country. Like, I think it allows you that space, right? Do you feel that?
Well, I like, it's hard to like think of your perspective as different because it's your, it's like the only
Yeah.
perspective I've ever known.
Yeah.
But I noticed that when I was selling the book proposal, that would be the thing that people would sort of like latch onto. Like, oh, we're hearing from an Asian American that like is not from America, like grew up outside of America. Like, that's so interesting. And the other interesting thing about that is, I appreciate you saying that my perspective is unique, but I do know like a handful of Asian American biracial mixed race people that live outside of America that have fathers that are like white guys who hate America. Like, that's a thing. Like, a lot of them in Thailand. That's a thing. That's fully a thing. And so I like in the times of my life where I've met people like that, I'm like, yeah, I had that dad too. So.
Okay, so let's talk about some themes. I want to talk about self-worth and your relationship to worthiness, both personally. I think we're doing really good. This is the farthest we've got together
We're going
ever.
well, yeah.
Yeah, that where we haven't cried. I've told her, I was like, I've cried every single time I've talked to you, and it's all been in a public forum.
Yeah.
Like, it's not good.
What's wrong with this?
I
Are you a
know.
Cancer? I'm a Cancer rising.
No, I'm a Leo. I don't know what that means. 'Cause I don't believe in that stuff. Anyway,
You have some Cancer in your chart.
so I want to talk about self-worth and about worthiness, both obviously personally, and then in your work, because I think that there is no distinction with you between the two. Like one sort of feeds the other. So let's talk about worthiness.
Just raw dogs, like it's like improv. Worthiness, go. Worthiness.
I mean, I would like it raw dog, but not in that way, though. You sick person.
I wasn't thinking anyway.
I know.
They laughed, not me.
But I felt like you were no. But yeah, like I'm leaving it open-ended because it's the entire book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I could pinpoint things, like I wrote things. Do you want me to read you back to you? Because I did do that.
Do you want to read that part?
Journalist. I wrote this. I thought this was a really interesting quote when I was thinking about worthiness in this book. And she writes, my mom and her friend laughed from relief. Relief that they didn't have to think about the fact that maybe I was good at something. Because if I was good enough, that meant they were probably good enough to achieve whatever dreams they gave up on when they were little girls. And that thought was too painful. They didn't want to think about it. They wanted to laugh. you know, and so, I mean, you could start there, or
Yeah.
wherever your wonderful brain wants to go.
Yeah. Well, that was the part where I was talking about, like, old Korean women telling me what I wanted for myself, and they're always like, "Oh, you want to lose weight because you want to be a model, right? You want to be a model. You want to be a model." And I was just like, "No, I get." But then, like, they kept saying it, so I was like, "Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I want to be a model." And then they're like, "Well, you're too fat." And I was like, "Why did you say that? Like, you set me up." Oh, look at this bitch. She thinks she's a model. And I was like, I didn't say that. You said that to me. Like, you know, like that thing. But I found old Korean women doing that to me. And it occurred to me that they want to be models. But it's too embarrassing for them to say that. Like, I want attention. I want to be the prettiest girl in the world. Like that kind of like feeling. And so they were like, oh, you want that, right? You want that? And I'm like, sure, like, okay. And then it's this like projection. Well, it's like they felt worthless. They felt like they were not allowed to want to say that. They didn't want, I think Korean women, or women in general, I think most people in the world maybe, are made to feel like they don't deserve attention, and they are not worthy, and they're not good enough in some way. But that is a like incorrect way to view human worthiness, because it's not something that's like given transactionally because you did something good enough. It's just something that we all deserve.
Yeah.
You know? And so, and I, like thinking about those women makes me feel sad, because I'm like, you're so worthy.
Yeah.
And like, think about my mom. I'm like, you're so wonderful. I love you so much. Like, you're such a brilliant, beautiful human being, and I like wish you felt that. And saw that. But it's like this, like, they can't accept it. They can't admit that they want it.
Yeah.
Like, just baseline validation. So then it becomes like this, like, I have to be the most beautiful girl in the world, like kind of like weird, like, you know.
Unattainable. It's like, it's almost like we have to make worthiness so unattainable.
Yeah.
That in that game, in and of itself, that's the game, because you're never going to get there. And we talk about that.
Never.
It's such a big part of Korean culture. You got another text from someone?
I got another text, everyone. That's 2, okay, in the last hour, 2 people.
It's probably a sale somewhere, but anyway. But
It's Uber Eats.
But you know, I think that is this, now that we're talking, because we had a great conversation too about how, like, the game I know we're like really shitting on Korean people, but you know what I mean?
Koreans love that. It's the Koreans' favorite pastime, shitting on Korea.
The game that Korean culture has set up for Koreans is meant to that you can't get that.
You can't win.
That's how it's set up. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the Rubik's, cube.
Yep.
And so I think that as I'm sitting here talking to you, it's so interesting that you're like, yeah, be a supermodel, yeah, be Blackpink, whatever it is. And I'm looking at my daughter, and I'm just like, I don't know if I should stop this, or like if I should encourage this. But it's that, like, we almost just set it up that way, so that that's the whole point is you can't get there.
Well, yeah. Well,
right?
I think that, just about your daughter, like, looking at Blackpink, I think that there's, like, a healthy way to, like, look at stuff like that and enjoy it. Obviously, it's, like, shiny and pretty. But I think the problem is that in Korea, they like, build it into this idea that if you're not the best, then you failed.
Yeah,
and
there's not
there's
second
nothing
place.
else. Yeah, which is also why I think they always buy, like, Hermes and Chanel. Yeah. Like, they'll never buy, like, Margiela. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, they need the number 1, top, best, most expensive, not number 2. Do you know what I mean?
No, I do.
That's just my theory.
Yeah, but that tracks. I think that there is something about that in Asian culture. I think now that I'm thinking about it, I think that probably tracks for a lot of us. Okay, another theme. So when we're talking about when you're talking about worthiness, I think, you know, to me, worthiness is just the different side of the coin called love, right? And this like I don't know, right? For me, at least, like one doesn't exist without the other, and that, and you write about this, about that to gain love was to endure pain, and that love is so precious that some people believe that it must cost something, that we have to pay for it with something, you know. And I just, wow, like, first of all, I was like, damn, that's me. I'm like, but wait, is that Korean? Or is that being a woman? Is that being a mom? Like, I couldn't figure it out. It just, that thought was like weighed really heavy on me for a long time. Can you kind of expand on that or talk about it?
Yeah, I think actually, I don't think it's an only Korean thing. Yeah. I think it is, you see that in Korea and a lot of like, you know, like Asian American communities, like you have to work really hard and do really well and then we'll be happy. But then as we all know, they're not happy. You know, like you went to Harvard and then you become a doctor, they're still not happy, you know? And it's like, but that like transactional way of thinking and valuing people, I think so many people have that. It's like attached to no culture. And I think maybe even like half of everybody in the world thinks that way in some sort of weird way. Like I see it.
I would say it's probably more than
maybe
that.
More, right? Like, and I see it like every day in like people that I know, and like, you know, I like hear hints of it, and I'm like, no, we just all have like the right to exist, and we're all like worthy of love. And I think that's like a very big, important thing that I try to show my son, because I think that's where a lot of people learn that. Like when your parents are like, if you do good enough, then I'm gonna love you. It's just like,
even if you don't say it, I think that
you don't.
don't,
Obviously, no one's saying that.
Yeah.
Like that's horrible. Some Korean parents have said that. They're like,
I'm hearing that a lot.
You don't get into Harvard, I'm not gonna love you. That sounds like a very Korean thing. I feel like Koreans do say that. But I think a lot of parents act like that without even knowing, you know, like, and that's always been like something that I've focused on in being a parent, I think.
Well, I think also too, though, related to that, then how, and I hope you take this question in the way that I mean it, because I feel this is that like I think that for me at least, you have to find such a sense of self-worth and self-love to pursue something outside of what is expected of you and what people think that you should be doing, whatever success means, however way your parents defined it, however way your friend group defines it, but to continue to do something that that feeds a different part of you know, you, rather than the transactional part of you. For me, it's like I feel like our work and your work, certainly as a writer and as a comedian, and the way that you put your work out there has to be a level of self-worth and self-love. And I know you also struggle with that because you wrote a whole book about it. So where do you sit with that?
Sorry. I scared myself. Oh God, I was like zoned down. Like, oh my God, where am I? So here's the thing about that, and I think we talked about this recently. I think I've been thinking about that a lot. Like, you know, I write about how I just didn't think I was like worthy enough to do comedy or do what I wanted to do, and I think what it was that growing up, you know, I just like other Korean people, I was put into this very rigid, like, you have to win, you gotta be #1 top model, or else you're a loser, like that kind of thinking. And immediately I lost. You know what I mean? Like immediately, there was like, no, I don't know what the hell this is, but you're no, right? And so it was almost good because I was like, oh, like I'm never gonna win
Anyway.
so I just give up. And so I think before I started like doing comedy and stuff, that showed up as me being defeated. Like I was already defeated.
Yeah.
And I was living my life in defeat.
Yeah.
As somebody that has already lost. And then I think one day I was like, oh, I actually haven't even tried yet. So I don't know. If I did lose, I should try and see what happens. And I
Yeah.
think that was the big shift. And I don't know how to answer that, like why that happened or how that happened.
Yeah.
Except it did happen right after Mina was born. And I was like seeing him and being like, oh, like look at this like very, I knew I was gonna start crying. like look at this very like worthy baby, obviously, you know, like,
He doesn't have to do anything.
yeah, he doesn't have to do anything. Actually, they're horrible when they're infants. If anyone doesn't deserve love, it's a newborn. Boo! They suck. Ew. I don't know. Yeah, like, but they're just horrible little. That's the hill that I die on. Newborns are the worst. You know when people see newborns, they're like, oh my god, what a cute baby. I'm like, get it away. Ew. Just kidding. But like, yeah, I immensely love this baby that doesn't have to do anything to be loved. Value, worth, right there. And I was like, oh, that was me too. I never had to do anything, you know? We all have inherent worth. And I think it really helped me see that. Like having a child really helped me realize that.
Yeah. Okay, last question, and then we're going to get to some fun stuff, and then we're also going to get to questions from the audience. Okay, just a very simple one. What do you hope people get from it? Like, what do you hope at the end? What do you want them to walk away with? Yeah.
I think like there's this, I feel like the way I'm gonna say this sounds really selfish, but like I just like don't give a shit. It's like I think just me doing this the way that I wanted to do it and just write it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't thinking about like how people are gonna digest it, but then in a weird way, I think I realized that is like the most selfless thing.
Yeah.
Because there's like this weird thing that happens when you're just like, this is me, and it's like scary, you know, like I keep seeing myself as like a little girl, just like, this is who I am. I'm just like this fucking hot mess, you know, like, I'm a bitch who loves attention or, you know, whatever.
Top supermodel, yeah.
I'm top. No, that wasn't my dream. And there's this thing that I think if you go into the world like really authentic and just are like, this is me, like, and it's some of it's horrible and like some of it like is stupid and maybe like ugly or whatever. I think what ends up happening is that people are like, oh, I can do that too. Like I can be a messy bitch who loves drama too, you know, like that. And it gives them this like space to do that. And they like, I think those people have reached out to me and told me, you know, like, thank you, like, for doing that, because now it makes me feel like I can do that. And then I'm like, oh, that's all I wanted. I wanted that. I wanted people to feel that too, right? Like, so it's like weirdly, that's what I want. I just want other people to feel like that too. And I hope reading this makes everyone feel like they can be a messy bitch openly. And I think, I guess so that, like, that is my hope.
Yeah.
That people take away. You can just say it. It's okay if it's embarrassing, you know? It's who you are.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, I cried. You didn't cry.
We did it.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we got to do this, and I told Youngmi too, like, for me it was like really important that we do it in this space. Like this book has so profoundly changed the way, I need your visor. The way that my brain is working from this point forward, that I am not ready to like have this conversation outside of these faces that I'm seeing here in like such a like Chung space, you know, like, so I think that I just really want to thank you for not holding one fucking thing back, because there's nowhere in this book where I was like, oh, I wish she would have went there, because like you just laid it out, and so you should be so proud of that.
Apparently
Thank you.
yeah, that's my talent. I just like, I will take the fall for everyone. I will be the embarrassing drunk aunt at the Christmas party, so you look great in comparison. That's my job, so.
Okay, so then wait, we're gonna do something fun,
Oh wait,
right?
we're gonna do something, I'm gonna force you all to do something now. This is like Korean church. Okay, so there is so we're gonna do like an audience Q&A, and I feel like, but before we do, I'm gonna need 3 volunteers to get on stage.
You guys are performers. This is artists. Come on, we can do
3
it.
people, it'll be
3
really
people.
funny. Come on, stop being fake humble. Yes! Woo, everyone clap it up. 1, anyone else? Okay, 2, yay! Oh no, it's a celebrity Korean. Okay. One more, anybody? One more. Okay, yeah, 3. Yay! Okay, so please introduce yourself to the audience. Oh, let's start here. Yeah, please. Okay, we'll start here. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Shin Sang-young.
Clap it up. And then we have
Stephanie.
clap it up for Stephanie. Last but not least,
Lena.
Okay, so what we're gonna do, all 3. Wait, do you have a question for the Q&A? Because this is about asking a question. Oh wait, no, it's okay. It's about competing actually. You just love competition. You're like, I'm gonna do it. Okay, so we're gonna do a competition. We're gonna do a game. It's called Trauma Charades. Trauma charades, okay? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna whisper in your ear a trauma that I went through in my life or my family, and then you're gonna act it out. And if you get the audience to guess what it is,
Is
the
it like,
fastest.
wait, is it a word, a phrase? Like, is it gonna be like a like?
It's gonna be a phrase.
Okay, it's gonna be a phrase. All right, we're ready.
If you get the audience to guess yours the quickest, you win, and you get to ask your question first, which none of you have questions. So you'll get a free book, okay? Yeah? Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna get that timer ready. Audience, you need to, if you think you know what it is, yell it out as soon as possible, okay? I'm gonna time you, and we're gonna have to see who wins. Okay, are you ready? That's probably enough. That's probably traumatic enough. Okay, are you ready? Get set. But they have to figure out who it is too. Okay, ready, get set, go.
Okay, a mustache, old. I just she. Oh.
She got it.
Oh, 10 seconds. Grandpa committed suicide. Grandpa. Wow. Wait, really? You didn't read the book? They didn't even read the book. Wow. Okay.
That's how
Off to a
good you
strong
are.
start.
That's how good he is.
Everyone's just traumatized.
That's why this game
Okay,
works.
next, Stephanie. We come here so I can whisper. We gotta think of a trauma. There's so many. Okay. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
On your mark, get set, go.
Morning sickness. She dropped. She fell. Oh my God. Oh, she Fat baby. Youngmi as a baby was fat.
Fat baby.
Wicked.
Chubby baby.
Who liked to dance? Could it be a model?
What did you say? Oh, no. It wasn't bulimia, no. But that did happen.
Your mom always called you fat when
Oh my God! What? Oh my God! Wow, the national charades champion of America, everyone. Wow, actually, you're the winner of this game.
undercover Asian.
Wow. Actually, I know the winner of this game.
always called you fat.
I feel like she's also holding back, like she knows it, right?
She knows it.
Yeah, you're waiting. You didn't want to be right second time.
Other people, like she
Yeah. So Stephanie, that was 37 seconds. So you didn't win the game.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yes.
Okay, the last trauma. Oh my God, I can't. There's too many. Oh, no, I don't want an actual sad one, right? No.
I don't know.
Your grandpa was pretty sad.
Yeah. You're like, wait, that wasn't the sad one?
That was a strong start.
Oh, I have a good one. Okay. Did you hear what I said?
Kind of.
Okay, here. I don't want to give it away. I know.
Okay.
Okay, last trauma. Everyone, are you ready? Okay, we're on your mark, get set, go.
Heartbreak.
Oh my God! Yeah, 5 seconds. You're the winner! Wow! Woo!
Thank you.
Wow, you won, Lena.
Yeah.
Everyone, clap it up! Clap it up for our contestants. Did you have an audience question?
I did.
Or
Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
yeah, you won.
Great. Oh. That's the Asian of me.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I won.
Mic is-
Oh wait, here, you're gonna use mine.
Oh, it was.
Oh, there we go. Yay.
Okay. So actually, I was born in Japan and raised there for a little bit, then moved to the U.S. And my dad didn't want to move back to the U.S. He lived in Japan for 19 years.
See, that's a thing. He's white,
Yeah,
right?
He's white. And he
I
hates the
told you
United
it's a
States, so
thing,
I know.
right?
So I was like, I'm glad I'm here. And
Oh my God, I
But,
told them.
Yeah, I always struggle with being Japanese, but not really being American, but also white. But there's always the expectation of being like, you're not white enough as a woman. Like,
Yeah.
what are ways that you kind of helped yourself understand, like, okay, I'm not gonna be too Korean in the sense of not being outspoken, but you're also like not gonna be too American. Like, how did you balance that kind of perspective? I don't know. That's
Actually, I feel like I still struggle with that, and I don't think that's ever gonna go away. And I feel
Yeah.
like every year it changes, and there's like a different like layer.
yeah.
And so I don't think there's an answer. We just gotta like live in the chaos. Is that unsatisfying as an answer?
No, that's perfect.
Right?
It's a lifelong.
It's never gonna
process,
get
so.
better for us. I'm so sorry.
I know, that's always a struggle. It's like,
We do trauma charades.
Yeah.
That's how we deal with it.
Yeah,
Thank you for
exactly.
asking.
Yeah, thank you. So can I give you a hug?
Yeah, of course. Everyone clap it up.
Thank you so much.
Do you want to ask a question? Do you want to?
I
You want to
have
do
a
anything?
question.
Okay.
But I love you.
I love you. Everyone, clap it up for our contestants. And we're gonna give you all free books.
We have time for 2 questions while you guys set up. I don't know why I'm up here. I'm just trying to help.
No, yeah. Do you
Wait,
have
is there a microphone that goes out? Okay. Does anybody
want me
have
to
a
stand
I
here?
mean, you
Oh.
deserve to
Yes,
ask a
please.
question.
Oh my God.
Trauma answer queen.
Wait, should I be standing because they're gonna move this? Is that happening? No.
No. That way everyone can hear. Here. Yeah.
Hi. Thank you so much for coming. This has been a delight. So far we've heard, just today at least, a lot about your dad and how being half American influenced your experience. I'm so curious about the relationship between your mom and your dad and growing up. You said your dad hated America, but what was your mom's opinion about you coming to America? And did she want to stay in Korea? What was, I just love to hear a little bit more about your mom's influence, besides, how she called you fat American. And how their relationship is even impacting you today as you raise your own daughter too.
Oh, I have a son, but I mean,
Oh, you have
that's okay. Yeah, no, don't worry. I'm sorry. What's your name?
Oh, EK.
Everyone, clap up for EK! Yay! We're just winning at charades. But then the person behind you like swooped in at the end. What it all? That's a great question. Actually, my mom was like indifferent to living in America or Korea. I think maybe she would have wanted to live here. Like she would have loved LA, Koreatown. She would have loved it. But I don't know, like their relationship was basically like he chose everything and he got to do whatever he wanted, and she just sort of let that happen. So I don't think she really had a say, which is like kind of interesting.
But how does she feel now that you're like here and living here and raising your son here? Like,
I think she's heavily influenced by my dad.
yeah. Who
and
still has like opinions about
anti-American opinions, yeah, as
Wow.
he should. Right? He's right. That one thing, he was right on that.
Yeah.
Just kidding. He's right on a lot of things, but yeah, I think she. Like I just hear her say stuff that's like she'll just repeat stuff that he said. Like my dad has this theory that I became really mean and cold because I moved to New York City. Because it kind of coincided with all of this happening, and he's like, now that she lives in New York, she's a bitch. You know, like that.
Yeah, you're like, I've always been a bitch.
I've always been a bitch. Yeah.
Just never noticed. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're still in Korea.
They live in Korea and they're still married.
Okay. Should we do one more question? Yes,
Oh.
up front.
Yeah.
Hi. I was curious about if you could talk a little bit more about what growing up in Saipan was like. I'm from Guam, so I was
Oh my
very
God.
excited to hear that you grew up in Saipan. So yeah.
Yay! Wow, clap it up for the Marianas. Marianas Island. So I loved. Why'd you give me this?
No, it's here.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'm just trying to help.
Okay. Saipan. I think in the book I just talk about my life during that time living there. But Saipan, I love Saipan. I love it. I went back, I think, a year and a half ago, or maybe 2 years ago now, and I was like, man, I really like it here. It's like, it's just such a nice island. It's a small tropical island. There's like nobody there. You go to the beach, there's nobody on the beach, and it looks 20 million times better than any beach in the world.
Wow.
But you know, like for us, if we go on vacation, it's like Bahamas or somewhere close, and you get there and you think it's gonna be like amazing, and it's like 19 million people from your neighborhood in Brooklyn it's like your neighbors that are there. There's nobody there. They have like they have like economic hardship, but it's a great place. It's an interesting place, and I just Saipan. You know, I love the people. Are you Chamorro?
Yeah.
Oh yay!
Like Asian
Everyone.
diaspora, like throughout the
Yeah.
Koreans, whatever. So
Yeah, and I
able
love.
to find like other Koreans.
Right. Wait, I'm sorry. Are you Korean or
No,
Chamorro?
no, I'm
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, and like like Chamorro people and like all my friends, and they're all sweet. I love Saipan, and I feel so bad for them, like that I am the representation. Like I'm so sorry.
Like posters or something. They're like stoked to that.
I wonder. Okay.
Not Saipan at all.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Should we? Yeah. So we're ready to sign books. So please come support and say hello to Youngmi and SuChin.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.